People need an income that's guaranteed to them.
If you lose money to taxes, you're never getting that money back.
You need to get serious about adding some lower risk.
Greed. I don't like greed.
The thing to be afraid of, honestly, is the thing that we're not thinking of, the black swan event.
There's a tsunami coming. Bye.
Welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Just coffee talk.
There's a lot of noise, a lot of chatter. Who do you listen to? Who do you not listen to? You have to stay focused.
A fun and informative look at the issues of wealth, retirement, and protecting your life savings.
These advisors out there that were trained to sell, and have all these fees. They don't want to talk about this product, so they make less money.
And now, Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Hello again, and welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, of course, ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. If it's time to talk about your retirement and planning and finding that person that's going to help you walk through this journey, could be another 10, 15, 20, 30 years. It could be that you're in retirement and you're going to need somebody to help you along the way. That is why we have this show, and Charisse is here again. Charisse, how are you doing today?
Oh, fantastic. After Thanksgiving, you're always feeling a little plumpy, dumpy. Starting my New Year's resolutions right now.
Plumpy. I love the plumpy. It's always my favorite.
It's always nice to come back and get back to work and finish the year strong.
Well, we have something we're talking about as we get to the close of the year, as we're looking into the new year, and that's the Ocala Leadership Conference. And Charisse, you've spent an awful lot of time trying to learn new things from great leaders in our country to be a better leader yourself, and your connections with some of these people, you're bringing them in so that this can kind of help a lot of people. Tell me about the event, when it is, and what it's all about.
Yes. So we have the Ocala Leadership Conference coming right to Ocala, live and in person, with the top speakers around the country coming to teach you about leadership, positivity, gratitude. You're having problems in your office, whether you're working with an employer or you are an employer. Ryan Lake's going to be talking about complicated people. John Gordon's going to be talking about the power of positivity. We have John Maxwell talking about leadership. I mean, to name just a few, it's going to be an incredible event, and it is live, and they're coming here to Ocala for the very first time. And it's January 30th. Of 2026 at Meadowbrook. And you can go to ocalaleadershipconference.com to buy your tickets. And also, if you hear it on our radio show, there is a code that you put in called Coffee Talk. So when you go to that website, there'll be a special box for a code. You put in Coffee Talk. Before the end of December 31st, it will end. You'll get $100 off the event.
Nice. Okay,
yes.
So I'm there right now. So I'm going to hit buy tickets now. And then it goes to the page and it says get tickets. And then your chance to put in that code. And there you go. So that's a pretty big savings, $100. That's great.
It is. So we're super excited about it. Ocala's never seen anything like it. And we are filling up very quickly because a lot of people know who these speakers are. And to have them all here at one location in one day is quite incredible. And somehow we pulled it off, the team and I have a fantastic partnership going on with everyone, and everybody is just as excited as we are, which is talking to the CEO at Advent and Seco and Empath. They're all just so excited. I have 35 C-suite people coming from Seco. Okay. Advent here is bringing like 20, 25 people. So I'm glad everybody else is taking it seriously, but it'll start your year off strong. I promise that.
Well, whether you're an employer and you're trying to find some inspiration for your own business, or you're an employee and you're moving up the ladder and you can see yourself maybe be in that position, or you just want to be a better leader within your department at work, this is a great opportunity for you to hear some people that really are looked up to across the country as great speakers and motivators. So,
yes. And I want to add, there's this saying out there, old school saying, and it goes like this: you have to be a born leader. And that is not true. You can learn to be a leader and learn leadership skills. You do not have to be a born leader. I hear that all the time. Well, I'm not a born leader. I'm more of a follower, Charisse. I'm like, no, you can learn leadership traits. It's only going to help you and your family and where you work. And it's interesting that people say that to me, but I want to encourage everyone. No, this is for you. This is just for you personally. And it'll really get you going for the year.
January the 30th at Meadowbrook from 9 to 5. And again, you go to OcalaLeadershipConference.com. If you use the keyword Coffee Talk, when it comes time to buy tickets, it'll be $100 off your ticket. So give it a look. Again, OcalaLeadershipConference.com. Charisse, do you like an Oreo every now and then? Oreo cookies?
I will eat Oreos every day if I was allowed. Wait a minute. When Oreos are on sale at the grocery store, I'm driving 100 miles an hour to get there. Make sure I get my fair share when they're buy one, get one free.
Well, if you are an Oreo aficionado, you will notice that in the Oreo section, many times they have specialty Oreos, and they're out there for just a couple of weeks. So we have a little agreement here at work. If you see one of those packages, you buy it, you bring it in, and we all test it, and we all rate it, and we put it on our little list. Right now, we have 39 different flavors of Oreos on our list.
That many?
Yeah. Pretty crazy, isn't it?
Wow, that's amazing.
But I found out number 40. Here we go. Are you ready for the holiday Oreo package here? You're going to see this. It's going to be a tin, and it's going to look like an Oreo. And inside, there will be 12 cookies. It'll cost $20 for 12 cookies. Why is this so crazy? All right. So 2 of the cookies are going to have the same deal. So you're going to get 2 dinners here. You will have a cookie, 2 cookies, one that tastes like turkey and gravy, another that tastes like sweet potato, another that tastes like cream corn. Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
Then we have apple caramel pie, pumpkin pie, and cranberry sauce. You have your meal right there in an Oreo cookie.
I'm not sure.
Come on, Charisse, are you in?
For $20 and a cookie? I want my Oreo to taste like an Oreo. I don't want it to taste like turkey and gravy. For $20, 12 cookies? What?
Sometimes the marketing is a little better than the product, and I got a feeling that is what we have here.
Yeah.
So in everything that Charisse and I talk about, we bring it back to finances, and I know that there are things in the financial world that have been marketed that on the outside look pretty good, but then when you actually use them, maybe not so much. Can you think of anything like that?
Oh, there's a lot to talk about here, Randy.
All righty.
Where would you like me to start is the question.
Well,
I guess I could start with like funds, like mutual funds, target funds, those types of things.
I bet target date funds, because target date funds were marketed as they put a year on them. You say, oh, that's near my retirement. And then it's going to get less risky as it gets toward your retirement. And that sounds like a really good thing. But
let's talk about that.
But in practice, it hasn't worked out that way, has it?
Right. It's actually quite the anomaly to me. So let's say you're going to retire in 5 years. Okay. You're probably in a target retirement date 30 fund, 2030. Right. That means from this point forward, 2025, all the way to 2030, every year your portfolio is going to get more conservative, which means you're going to have more bonds because you're getting closer to your horizon and you're about to retire. But a lot of people think, okay, that's great. This is going to take all the risk off the table. And it's not the case. There's still tons of risk in those target retirement date funds. And the next question you have to ask yourself, if the markets grow for the next 3 years, is that really what you want to do? Right? If we're having turbulence, yeah, it makes sense. If we know for sure we're going to go into crash territory. No, I don't think any of us think that. I think we have growth in the market over the next 3 years. I think that we'll have some volatility along the way, but you have a 75% probability that the market will be higher at the end of next year than it is where it is. And that's every year. So target retirement date funds also have just fees that I don't appreciate. They're like 0.75 to 1.25. I've seen them as high as 1.5%. So they're doing nothing. They're just adding more bonds. And when interest rates go up, bond values go down. Right now, interest rates are going down, so bond values are going up. So it actually works well. But let's say you don't retire for 5 years, and 2 years from now, which will likely happen, interest rates will probably slowly go up, then your bond values go down. You've almost lost everything that you made over those 2 years. So I call it a wash account sometimes. So target date funds you need to be very careful with. They sound great, but they're not that great. I'd rather you in those 401ks, you have a very small menu. That's the unfortunate part. Some of you might only have those, and which I feel for you, and I'm so sorry. But most of those companies do have target retirement date funds, and they have mutual funds, which you all know I'm not a big fan of mutual funds because they're heavy in fees and commissions. But when you're in a 401k, we still got to go with the best angle that you can get. And so we do do encourage people to bring their 401k statements in from their employers. Let us help you pick the mutual funds. Let's get away from these target date funds because there's definitely more fees in there on average than not.
All right. Other things.
So that's one.
Other things that you have seen that sound good on the outside, but maybe not so good in practice.
I got one. I was just talking to somebody about it. Long-term care, literally just a couple of days ago, I was doing a workshop and I get a little passionate and heated up. I can do that a little bit more in a workshop than I do on radio.
All right.
And we were talking about the long-term care section. I'm like, you're going to come into my office and you might want long-term care and I'm going to talk you off the ledge because I was the firm that sold you John Hancock, Genworth, Mass Mutual, because, hey, if we're going to protect our homes and buy insurance, why aren't we protecting our finances and our health when we have to go into elder planning? Lo and behold, 20 years later, those premiums have doubled on some of my clients, or at least gone up at least 150%, which is higher. I'm thrown off by it because it doesn't make any sense to me that companies do that. We should have just dumped that money into a life insurance policy that guaranteed premiums never to go up and just accelerated the death benefit. So that's one of those smoke and mirror things that has not panned out for most people, and they wasted so much money. And I was just doing it because, and our team and all the advisors across the country, because we thought that you needed to protect your health care. But now that I know what I know and I'm using software that I've rejiggered, I will say 8 out of 10 people who come into my office, they don't even need to worry about long-term care. And so it just took me all these years to figure it out. And so sometimes things aren't quite what they seem to be, right, Randy?
Exactly. So, I mean, with my mom, that was the one bill at the end of the year that she just hated to pay. And I told her, that's the most important. Well, you're into it. You got to keep going. But it was $2,500, then it was $3,000, then $3,500, then $4,000. It would go up $500 a year. And sometimes they're going up a lot more. And what happens with people is they can't afford it anymore, and then they just cancel it. And then all that money that you've paid is down the tubes. So, all right, talking about things here that sound good on the outside, but maybe not so good as you put them into practice. Anything else that you can think of financially?
We can go into Social Security.
Okay.
Most people feel like they have to take Social Security at 62. Some other people out there feel like, we got to wait till age 70. And there's pros and cons to both of them, honestly. And you have to have a written plan to figure this out. You can't just guess. You can't just collect at 62 because your dad did, your neighbor Bubba did. You have to actually create a plan, because when you collect at 62, you are getting penalized. You're not getting 100% of what's entitled to you. So you're taking a shortcut to do that. And like Dave Ramsey says, take it early and then you can just reinvest it. Most people are not responsible enough to reinvest it. And then if the market goes down, then that did you no good. And if you live to age 85, you are better off waiting, because that's where the cash flow really comes in. Now, if you pass away at 75, you probably should have taken it at 62, be honest with you. But people are living longer than ever. And so the next one is age 70. So a lot of people come in like, hey, we're going to wait to age 70 to collect Social Security. And we'll put it in their plan. And I let them know, I'm like, why would we wait to 70? What if your health doesn't sustain and we pass away early? And we do ask those health questions because it's really important to know where they're at and what their parents went through. Because at age 67, that's when you get 100% of your Social Security benefit. If you delay taking Social Security age 70, you do get an average of 7-8% a year. It brings in a bigger check. So somebody who has a pension and has all this cash flow, does it make sense? Does it not make sense? But let's just say that you and your spouse worked, you don't have a pension, you had maybe saved $500,000 and you just need more for later because somebody passes away early. You might want to reconsider a different plan. And so it's not cookie cutter, but I will say that there's mass confusion on when to collect Social Security, whether it's 62 or really should I wait till 67 or should I wait till 70? But on average, I don't advise people to wait till 70 anymore.
Yeah. You're listening to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. This is one of the reasons I think it's really important to have a financial advisor in your life, because these things come up and you're going to hear some things, you're going to read some things, and you're going to say, I need somebody to bounce this off. And if you've got Sharice right there in your corner, it's just a phone call away. 833-368-3680 is our number, and you can go there and get a date on a calendar. Let's do the math on your retirement, as we say, and do what we call a portfolio x-ray. See what you've done for retirement, what it's going to mean for you in income, what it's going to mean for you in taxes. Let's get it figured out and down on paper. 833-368-3680, or just use our website, which is zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. Click on that. You'll be on your way. Well, as long as we're talking about 401ks, you and I have had lots of discussions about moving money from your employer 401k and then moving it over to your own IRA. As you said, you've got a lot of more choices. You know, you might have 10 right now. You'll have thousands if you put it in your own IRA. Well, Vanguard now says there's plenty of people that are doing that as they get near retirement, but then it just sits. 28% of people who roll over stay in cash for at least 7 years. So I kind of get it. It's like you're taking money from a risk bucket, your 401k, and now you're going to put it in your own IRA, and you're thinking, I'm going from risk to risk. And then suddenly they give you this pot of money, which is all in cash that doesn't get affected by the market. And it kind of makes you feel good when the market goes down 800 points.
Right.
But is that going to sustain the growth that you need in your retirement years? Sharice, what are the options for somebody who's risk adverse and they kind of like the cash, but they know they need growth?
I know. So cash is a tough place to be. I mean, what are you going to make? 4%?
Tops. Yeah.
I mean, inflation, it's here, right? Even though they brought it down, everything costs more. So I know I'm speaking to the conservative people out there because this is why you have that in cash. So many people have too much money in cash. Most very conservative people out there, Randy, we have to ask a couple of questions. If you lost, let's say you had $1 million and you lost 10%, that means you lost $100,000.
Yeah. How
are you going to react? And those conservative people are like, you're fired, right? I mean, that's how they think.
Okay.
And so we have to be very careful. So I know cash is king, but there are other alternatives out there where you can have market growth without shoving it all into cash. I know CDs, it's that feel-good money, right? CDs are there, the money markets are there, and interest rates are going down, so those things are starting to go down. But you got to keep up with inflation, and you have to start making money. And we're in this prime opportunity to make money over the next couple of years. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the next couple of years, right? And then I would consider some of the alternatives out there. Like, for example, we have these 1 and 2 year notes where you can make money potentially when the market goes down, and you make money when the market goes up, right? Those are, in my opinion, rather conservative. The other alternatives are the indexing strategies with the insurance companies. You can't lose. There's no fees. And on top of it, you get to invest in the S&P 500. That is a no-brainer. So if you are fearful of going to the market and you're heavy in cash, those are the two items I would consider adding to a portfolio, to be honest with you, because now we potentially could be making 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% on average. And so I prefer to take some cash out of that pot and then have like 3 pots of cash equivalents, built-in safety, right? And bonds can be safe. Like right now, I would consider bonds to be in a good arena of safety because when interest rates go down, bond values go up, but that doesn't last. So bonds are not as safe as they used to be. And if you go back to 2007, 8, and 9, when the market crashed, I mean, bonds on average lost between 20 and 26%. So again, they can lose too. They just lose less. So we want to be very cautious about how much cash we have, Randy.
Well, you've said this in the past, and that is that you can be in the stock market, but you can be lower risk in the stock market. You don't have to be in high-flying tech stocks or hedge funds or chasing headlines. There are places within the market that you can move into that doesn't have that huge wobble or jiggle, as you like to say, back and forth. And what do you call it? Standard deviation. That's a big financial word for the swing back and forth. You don't have to have that if you don't want it.
You really don't. And it's interesting because we do actively traded portfolios here. So every month at any time we can trade your portfolio, and it's actively done in our exchange traded fund strategy. And I had a client call in, and she's kind of a risk taker, but she's also conservative. And she said, Sharice, I noticed that in my 60-40 portfolio, a few more percentage points went to cash equivalents. Why did you do that? I'm like, well, there's a lot of volatility on the horizon. All the charts are blowing up. And so what we reduced the reins from the risky stuff in short order. And I said, in the next couple of weeks, we very well might go back in. But as long as we're seeing these charts light up the way they are, which is a negative light, right? It's like red, red, red. We're going to stay there. And, we won't get rich there. But, if our cash equivalents are making, 3 and 4%, when the market goes down, we have permission to sell their accounts to cash equivalents 100% or 50%, depending on, what they decided. And she went, oh, yeah. That's why I pay you. You know what? I feel so much better now. And you just have to remind our clients, this is why we're doing this. And, we're not trying to get rich here, right? I just want to make sure our clients don't get poor. And so sprinkle in some of the index strategies, some of the notes, some of the cash equivalents, some of the active strategies, some buy and hold. So we have those high flyers in our portfolio, as long as you can manage that risk, of course. So it's very, very diversified. And it's people, I haven't gotten any calls. I got the one only because we went to cash, not because we were losing, which is great.
You're listening to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. Go there right now, and you'll see a gold box that says Complimentary Retirement Consultation. That's a meeting, and it's a free meeting. It's a no obligation, no cost meeting to sit down and talk about your retirement and the things that concern you. And let's get all those questions out on the table, and let's get them answered. 833-368-3680. Again, 833-368-3680 or online, ZinniaWealth.com. All right, so this is RMD time. And if you don't know what that is, that means you're probably not doing it right now. That means when you reach the age of 73, Uncle Sam says, okay, you can't defer those taxes anymore. It's time for you to dip into that 401k so Uncle Sam can get his taxes. And he tells you how much you're supposed to take. So that usually happens in December. You're busy doing that right now. My question for you is, should people take just what Uncle Sam tells you to take? Should they take a little bit more? I read one article that says maybe you should take a little bit more because draining that account a little bit will mean fewer taxes in the future. So how do you figure that calculation out, and what's your advice there, Sharice?
Should you take just what Uncle Sam tells you? So if you are 73 and you have $1 million saved, you're going to be taking, close to $37,000.
Right.
But what if you come in and we do a full-blown written plan for you, like very well done written plan for you, and our written plan says, okay, you actually need to take $15,000 more to live your lifestyle in retirement. And if you only have IRAs, then you can continue to pull from your IRAs. You don't have to take just what Uncle Sam tells you to take. We take what we need to take, but based on our written income plan, we show you, do we run out of money or do we not, basically. Okay. And so everybody's going to be a little bit different. But in reality, Randy, I get a few clients like that. If you've saved $1 million, I would say an average about $700,000 to $800,000 is in your IRA. And then we see an average of 100, maybe 150 in your brokerage account. And then we see like a small portion in the Roth. So if we are rolling IRAs over to a Roth, we probably don't want to take any more money out than we need to from the IRA because we're rolling it to a Roth IRA. And then we'll probably live on the other items that are available. So it just depends on what you've saved and in what tax bucket you've saved in. So it's not cookie cutter. It gets a little bit complex. So I would say, make sure whoever you're working with, if you have a financial advisor in retirement or you're prepping for retirement, they actually understand these buckets, these tax buckets, and where you want to go with those tax buckets. Do you want to offload the IRA bucket and put more into Roth? Do you have enough Social Security and pension coming in that you actually don't even need to live on your money? If that's the case, then you can probably do a lot of rollovers. But just remember, when you roll IRAs over to a Roth, you got to pay the taxes, right? And most people, you stop the brakes at that point. When you come in, we're going to show you what this looks like for not just the next 5 years, 10 years, what it looks like for the next 30 years and what it looks like to your beneficiaries. I think it's key to understand, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? And for the first time in your life, you're going to see it on paper. So we're going to do that tax written plan for you also. So it's not as, I can't really answer that on radio, but it's something you should definitely come in to figure out. Now, the next question is, if you need more to live on, should you take a little bit more from there or the other place? Well, we just answered that question.
Sure.
It depends where you've saved. If you haven't saved anywhere else but your 401ks, then you're just going to have to pull from there. But let's just make sure that we double check and stress test your retirement plan that you don't run out based on what you need.
should you take a little bit more to drain that account a little bit to help you with taxes in the future?
Right. So if you're somebody that literally you're up against the ceiling and you're about to turn 73 and you're forced to pull money out, it is a hard story to say, hey, here's your tax plan. You have to take this RMD every year, but now we're going to roll another $20,000 to $50,000 a year of your RMD over to a Roth. It's a harder story to convey because the tax break is not as big. So if we can roll IRAs over to Roth before you turn 73, it's helpful. But I will say 1 out of 3 people, I would say if you're 73, it doesn't make sense. I'm very shocked when the 2 out of 3, it does make sense actually, based on what they have saved and what they actually want to do with their money. Some people said, you know what, Sharice, I'm going to let my kids pay the taxes and I'm not going to do the rollover. Some people was like, I don't want to leave this tax debt to my kiddos and I want to leave it tax free. So they want to do it. So it depends on your rhyme and reason. So when you come in, let's make sure we're stress testing your retirement plan, your income plan, your social security plan, your long-term care plan. But this is a really important phase of life. This RMD stress testing plan is key. It could make or break the future, not just for you, but your surviving spouse, but also your kids. And you will be giving, I'm going to tell you, if you don't come in, I'm going to show you the math. Your kids will be giving more back to Uncle Sam, your partner, in all this than you want them to. And so this is what we want to do. We want to show it to you. And at least you can be proactive now in case you don't want that to happen.
You're listening to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, zinniawealth.com. If it's time to talk about your 401k and the options that you have, or maybe you've never really had a financial advisor and now all of a sudden you're up against RMDs and you go, oh, I need some help here. That's okay. Give Sharice a call. 833-368-3680. 833-368-3680. Or the website, of course, zinniawealth.com. ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. You click on that, you'll be on your way. Let's get a date on a calendar before the end of the year. Okay, this is kind of interesting. A 70-year-old writes into one of the advisor columns, and he says, I'm 70 years old. I have $1 million in my 401k. I want to give my son $200,000 in inheritance right now, but can I truly afford it? So that they answer the question. I want to throw that one at you, Sharice. What does he need to consider here? Generous heart, good guy. Could this hurt his retirement?
So I would really just look at what is this gentleman's income? What are his expenses? And then can he pay for the taxes by giving the family member this money now? Because depending where his tax bracket is, if he's giving $200,000 out of his 401k, we're assuming, I'll just do simple math, 25%. He's going to have to take 25% more out of that 401k, actually a little bit more to even cover that amount to pay the tax bill. So that very well might only leave him $750,000 sitting there. Simple numbers, right? So my question is, if he's 70 and he lives to 90, so it also depends on life expectancy. It's such an open-ended question. But if he lives to 90 and he's living off, let's say, $40,000 a year off his $1 million, well, now he doesn't have $1 million anymore. He has $750,000. Now he's taking a higher percentage. Now he's taking not 4%, a much larger percent off of that $750,000 to get his 40 grand, which is a big no-no. Unless he's truly trying to spend his last dollar on his last breath, he very well might do that because now he's taking a higher withdrawal amount than he probably should. And then when he's 85, let's say he needs long-term care. Is there enough money for long-term care? Or does his son now have to come back into the fold and take care of him? Because there are rules out there. Like when you give money to your kiddos, there are some rules out there that says, hey, each state is allowed to come after your kiddos and they might force your kids to take care of you, right? And or fork up some money for care. So there's a lot of things out there right now that we do have to worry about for the next 20 and 30 years. So if you don't want to be a burden to your kiddos, I might say, take that $200,000, roll it to a Roth IRA, pay the taxes on it, right? The same deal as gifting the money now, and then let it grow tax-free. So then they get the money tax-free. And in case you do spend a lot of your money, well, and you need long-term care, your kids would prefer you not to be a burden on them, and they would prefer, on average, just so you know, you to be able to do the things you want to do and make sure that you can care for yourself, because most kids have kids, right? Your adult children have kids and they have their own lives, right? And they're working, and it's a burden today. There's this thing called the sandwich community, where the 40s to 50-year-olds are taking care of their parents now. And it's a lot of work and it's very stressful. And so you have to think about all those things. So I would say to this gentleman, it's a possibility you could do it, but are there other strategies out there? And I would need to weigh in on their inventory. Well, what are your bills? Do you still have a mortgage? What are your goals? Are you still traveling a lot? And really weigh into the wishes and goals. But I do get a lot of family members, they want to start gifting their money to their kids now. And I'm not a naysayer. I'm like, if we can make this happen and I can sure up that you and your surviving spouse has enough money to live to 95, then I'm not opposed to it. It is a big tax burden, but I'll give you an example. I just had a client. They want their two sons to purchase homes, and they want to give them $100,000 a piece out of their retirement account. So we're going to have to pay the bill on that. So we're basically having to pull out close to $300,000 out of their money. But these people do have about $3 million saved, and they're only living about 4% of their monies, and they're really only doing that for the first 10 years. So every strategy, every individual that comes in and sees this, it's definitely different. It's not cookie cutter. But if that is something you want to do, we'll let you know. We'll do the math for you, because we feel like it's important to do the math before you just jump in head first without really thinking through it, because this is something you want to do. But we want you to do it if you can do it.
Well, in my conversation with different estate planners across the country, they would say to you, if you want to give your kids money, great. Give it to them a little bit at a time and see how they handle it. $200,000 is a lot of money. That's kind of implying that their son needs something, that large amount for something. Why not give him $50,000 at a time and see how he does?
Right. It depends what the money's for.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Well, we don't want to be, when we talk about giving your kids a gift, don't give them a tax-infested gift. That's kind of being what we call bad Santa. But we don't want to be a bad steward of our own retirement money either.
Right.
So give us a call. These are the kind of things that I think are vitally important to have a financial advisor in your life, because these are the things that come up. And then you say, hey, Charisse, this is what I'm thinking. What is the ups and the downs, the pros and the cons of this one? And I think that's a good conversation and a good resource to have. 833-368-3680 is our number at Zinnia Wealth. You can find the team online as well at zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a gold box on the website there, complimentary retirement consultation. If you click on that, you'll be on your way. All right, here's another question that I hear an awful lot, and I just wanted to give it to you, and that is people will call into these advisor columns or write into them, and they'll say, I want to live solely on my investment income in retirement. I don't want to get into my principal. Is that possible? So let's look at the scenarios there. I imagine if you have a lot of money, $5 or $10 million, I would imagine you can live off your investment income, but that's not everybody. So what are the ups and downs of that? Is it a dirty thing to get into your principal in retirement, Charisse?
No, it's not a dirty thing. A lot of people say, I don't ever want to dig into my principal. And my question to you is why?
Why?
This is your money. You saved $1 million and you dug into your principal to do something. Now it's $950 because maybe it was it was a sideways year. There was no money to be made, or maybe the market went down 10%. Market went down 10%. Your $1 million is now $900,000. I would at that point say, not a good idea to dig in the principal while the market's down. So let's make sure we have leverage and we're pulling from an account that didn't go down. But you should not be afraid to dig into your principal because you saved this money. And it is really, I'm going to say, people hang their hat on that. And they're just so adamant, I don't want my principal to go down. For 20 years, I remember when I first got in the industry, they're like, Charisse, I wanted to live on my interest, but I don't want to dig into my principal.
And I can completely understand that. But if somebody did, then I got a feeling that it's going to be kind of a ball rolling down a hill. Charisse, I don't like my principal going down. Now we have to make that money up. Now you want to go into more risk. Now, oh boy, now we've opened up Pandora's box now. And that's not what you want either.
Yeah, you don't want that boulder going down the hill because that snowball effect, it gets worse and worse. Listen, the goal is we want to make a return on all of our money, right? And there's going to be some years, some of your money is going to make a smaller amount. The other third might make a medium amount, and the other third might make a very large amount because it's probably a little riskier. So we have leverage. We have 3 or 4 buckets. But at the end of the day, most people don't really bite into their principal, Randy. They really, truly, because the markets have been so kind and generous, they really are still living off their interest. So we haven't had that issue, which is great news. But I will tell you this, when the market does go down, and I know a lot of you have retired, and you have not retired in a market crash. You all have retired, the people who are listening, in my opinion right now, you retired after 2009. And I need you to know that that day is coming and you haven't experienced it. And you need to hear our words when we tell you not all your money should be doing the same thing that it was doing back in 2007, 8, and 9. And having that leverage is going to be key, or you will have that domino effect of dollars going down. And if you have to live off your money when the market's going down, well, guess what? You are going to bite into your principal because the market just did it for you. Then you're going to bite into it more. So having that leverage, and some accounts you might go down in, some accounts you probably won't lose a dime in. And so figuring out what that strategy is for you and your risk tolerance. So this is really a risk tolerance conversation, Randy. What is your risk? How much can you afford to lose? How much are you willing to lose? And if I tell you, hey, you can lose 10% on $1 million, they're like, oh, that's easy. And I'm like, well, 10% on $1 million, $100,000. They're like, oh, no way, Jose. That tells me a lot about your risk tolerance, right? And that just means not all of our money should be at that kind of risk, right? If the S&P goes down 10 and you lose 10, that means you're 100% fully loaded into risk. That means you can lose 50% all day long. Your $1 million, your 401k can go to a 201k, $500,000. Yeah. So let's figure out what your risk tolerance is. And if you like some of that risk, but you don't want to know all your money, then we segment that chunk of money where we don't touch it for 10 to 15 years, and we allow it to do what you want it to do.
Yeah, I think Randy's third grade math goes like this, because I've been like 80-20 my whole life, 80% stocks, 20% bonds. Well, that's fine. So if the market were to go down 50%, I lose 40% of that money. It's gone. If it's $1 million, I lost $400,000. But if it's 20-80, then if the market goes down 50%, I only lose 10, So, right. I mean, that makes total sense to me is reduce your risk in retirement. So if the market goes down, you don't lose as much.
Can I tell you something, Randy? Actually, I haven't said this on radio before, but I'm right in my 40s. Everybody knows that. But I have some very risky accounts, right? Mm-hmm. I own some Bitcoin. That can be very risky. It can be gone for all I know in the future. Yeah. But then I also have some other accounts and partnerships and some private equity stuff going on. But one of my most favorite investments is this investment where I put $100,000 in it. And I get $8,000 every year. And it's my dividend check. If I get it like clockwork every year, and I look forward to it, I'm tickled pink. And I invested in it 2 years ago. My buddy said, hey, we're about to sell. It's about to double. And it's pretty high risk, you guys, so I don't recommend my clients to do it. And I'm like, but I'm going to miss my $8,000 every year. I have a place where I put that every year. I get really excited about it. He went, Charisse, your money's doubling. I'm like, I know. Can you take some of that when it sells and get me something else at 8%? And we just banter back and forth.
That's interesting.
It is so interesting because why would 8% be good enough for me? But that's because I have buckets of my own money doing different things, right? Yeah. And I'm no different than my clients because I'm like, just give me that check. Just make sure it shows up the same day because I got a plan for that money, right? It gets me so giddy excited. It's crazy. But when I see my Bitcoin account go up, I'm like, yeah, buddy. But then when it goes down, I'm like, ugh, this is why I like my 8% dividend.
That's what they call allocation. And,
yes, and that's what we're talking about. Yep. Maybe a fourth of your money in the roller coaster ride, a fourth of your money in that dividend check, a fourth of your money in a private pension plan, a fourth of your money in something moderate, maybe a 60-40, and we just keep sprinkling it out. So I'm not treating my clients any different than I treat myself, believe it or not, but I am a little bit riskier than my clients, of course.
Give Charisse a call. Let's talk about your risk level, how much you want to dip your toe in that stock market in retirement. Maybe it's not at all. Maybe you're somebody who go cannon ball. I'm in. Maybe not. And we'll find a place for all of your needs. It's 833-368-3680. 833-368-3680. Or use the website ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. There's a gold box there. Click on that, and you'll be on your way. All right, it is a natural thing to want to do, and that is get rid of as much debt as you possibly can before you go into retirement. So where does it usually come from where you get that money? Well, of course, your 401k, because it's now the biggest you've ever seen it. Now, the question is, should you pay off all that debt before you retire? Sometimes a good psychological move might not be a good financial move. So,
Totally.
All right. So talk to me about that. Do people they just want to get rid of all their debt and then go into retirement? And some of that might not be such a great idea.
They do. And I actually encourage it. But there is good debt and there is bad debt. So the bad debt is, let's make sure we pay off our credit cards, our car payments, and those types of things. I call that kind of bad debt. But is paying off your mortgage a bad debt? I think that can be a good debt, especially if you're itemizing on your taxes. You're not taking standard deductions. Maybe that makes sense not to pay off. So I know there's this sleep at night better kind of thinking. It's a psychological thing. So if it's psychological, I'm not going to argue with you, but if it's about dollars and cents and how to make it work, I don't want you to take $200,000 or $300,000 from a 401k, pay the taxes on it to pay off this mortgage. Or if you have to sell stock and now big tax on capital gains to sell the mortgage off, if your mortgage is 3 or 4%, because you could take those dollars that you were going to do to pay that good debt off and make potentially 4, 5, 6%. So cash flow arbitrage is definitely a key indicator. But I got to tell you about a client who came in. They're a client of mine. They're not retired, and they weren't retiring for another year and a half. And she called me and she said, Sharice, I am so stressed out. I'm like, why are you stressed out? Well, my hours have been cut back from work. I wanted to pay off this mortgage before I retired, and I'm not making as much, and I just don't know. I feel like I should retire now, but I'm just so fearful because our plan was to retire in a year and a half. So I had her come in. I was like, honestly, you could retire now. And I said, you do not have to pay off this mortgage. She has about, 12 years left on the mortgage. So she's paid most of the interest already. And it was a low interest. I'm like, I wouldn't worry about that. We actually put that into your income plan. You can pay that down slowly. And she's like, well, where am I going to get my checks from? Because I know you give out checks. I'm like, well, you're going to get a $16,000 dividend from Duke. And then you have this real estate investment that's going to give you $21,000. And then we have this other interest bearing account that's going to bring you some income. And then she came in already with 2 annuities. Somebody sold her 2 annuities with incomes on them. And so we're going to turn those on. I said, when I turn all those on, that's going to cover all the income that you're making at work now and much more. And she went, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, I can do all those things. Like, yes, you can do all those things. And then your retirement account that's still at your 401k with $500,000, we don't actually ever really have to touch. We can let that grow, and split that into a couple of different investment strategies. So this young lady who is 67 years old was so stressed out because she thought she had to pay off her mortgage, and she was trying to chunk it down. She had 12 years left to pay it off. She's just trying to make all this income to chunk it down. And then she was cut back on her hours. And I was like, listen, we don't need to stress out about this. I said, we made a plan that if it doesn't get chunked down in time, that you still pay it off over the years. We do it slower since it's a low interest. And she went, oh my gosh, I'm so glad. It's been months and I've been worried about this. And I tell you that story because I can only imagine how many of you out there are feeling the same way. But because we built her an income plan and she saw it once, she stressed out about it. She had to see it again when she came in and just realized, okay, I don't have to worry about paying off. I can manage this. I can leave work. I'm not even getting the paycheck I'm getting anyways and be done with it. So she's officially retired. And so she's just like, I'm going to the holidays and I feel great. And now I trust that I don't really have to worry about this mortgage because it's built into the plan. And, she's just somebody's not going to run out of money. She's never even going to probably touch this other account she has unless she says, I really want to spend more on travel. And then we just pull, 20, 30 grand from that account over time and it'll still grow. So again, the income plan, the written plan, the strategy, the leverage, the withdrawal strategy, figuring out your spending plan, all these things are key to your survival of the mental side in retirement. So don't trade the stress of work for the stress of retirement. Have a plan before you turn on those keys and make sure you're sure.
Yeah, I totally understand the whole idea of wanting to be debt free. There's nothing better than when you make your final car payment or something like that.
Yes.
But, you know, I mean, I look at it this way. You know why I understand you people? Because I'm one of you. I'm 65 years old, okay? I have exactly the same thoughts you do because I'm looking at that Social Security story and I say, oh, they're going to cut me back by 20%. And I looked at that, that's $1,000. Well, if I could get rid of my mortgage, that just evens that right out. And this is how you think, and this is how I think. And when we think these thoughts, it's time to talk to Charisse.
Yeah. And also, I'm going to need to talk to all of you because you're all thinking, if you're retiring soon, who's going to be Charisse's new host?
Don't worry about that.
I am stressed out, you guys. I need a planner for that one.
Yeah.
We're working on that. We got a few years.
Two more years.
Anybody listening, start calling me. You got to be like Randy, though.
Then the negotiations begin.
Oh, yeah. You are worth every dime.
I love it. You're listening to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, it's zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com, or go to our phone number, which is 833-368-3680, and start right there. Get some time on the calendar with Charisse. All right, just some fun here at the end. I get up every morning, I turn on the TV, and I wonder what the heck happened in the world while I was sleeping, because there's always something out there, and there's a lot of people that are throwing their hands in the air going, really? This is a comedian named Derek Strope.
Listen, you should be eating whatever you want. The world's on fire. If you watch the news and go, I'll take a kale salad, you're sick in the head, man. There's no better time than now to put gravy on your salad. I'm serious. Out here eating healthy, you got people exercising. I think that's crazy, too. You want to live to be 100 to see how this movie ends? You got problems, man.
So funny. I do want to live to 100.
Oh, it's so true, though. I mean, I got to believe that that's probably one of the conversations you have when people walk in the door. The reason some people actually walk in the door is they look at the world and they go, Charisse, how am I going to retire into this? And that really gets them. And we got to kind of try to put that aside and say, we're going to build you a plan so you don't have to look at that stuff.
Well, number one, let me address the elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. I'm not putting gravy on my salad. That guy's funny. Yeah, so the world sucks, but live it up.
Live it up.
I mean, think about it. The world sucked for me during the shutdown, the 41-day shutdown when I was flying back from Arizona. I'm like, is TSA going to stay open, right?
I know.
Oh, my God, what a scary time. Hey, and thanks to our military and TSA and federal employees that still worked when they weren't getting paychecks. Thankfully, it's over and we can move forward. But back to gravy on your salad. So we do need to enjoy life, right? And your portfolio, we're turning this into a portfolio conversation, does need to suit your needs no matter what you think. We get a lot of people in our office that fear the worst. We got these fear mongers out there that really get to them. And they're like, oh, I got to put all my money under the mattress. I don't want to invest it. This is going to happen. The dollar is going to crash. I'm going to put all my money in gold and put it in my safe. And listen, there's a lot of naysayers out there. And there's also a lot of positive outlooks out there as well. The goal is to have that gravy on your salad and you can have those worries, but we're here to help take that worry off the salad plate. I'll be honest with you, and really mitigate your risk during times like this. And if you're somebody like that, you might really enjoy our active managed strategies where we're trading every month, or you might not. You might want something totally safe and never lose. We have those things for you. So we have the safe money strategies. We have the just medium at risk dividend strategies. We have the really risky strategies. So we have a strategy for all walks of life when it comes to retirement, whether you're super risky or you're ultra safe and you're just going to keep your money under the mattress. I get you. I know you. I have family members like you, and we can help you. So I just want to let you know that. But thank you, Randy, for a good chuckle at the end of our show.
Put the headlines on hold in retirement, and let's have a portfolio that is an all-weather portfolio, no matter what the headlines are doing out there. I really want you to be able to turn that stuff off and enjoy yourself. That's retirement. 833-368-3680. 368-3680. Get a date on a calendar with Sharice, and let's talk through your retirement hopes and dreams and questions and concerns. Find us online, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. Gold box there, it says complimentary retirement consultation. When you click on that, you can actually just book your appointment right there. Sharice, that is all the time we have on this one. I'll give you the last word.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. Live by design and not by default. And we'll see you here next week.
This has been Retirement Coffee Talk. To find out more about how the strategies we've discussed on this program can build the retirement you've been wanting, call Zinnia Wealth at 352-368-3680 or visit us online at zinniawealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. The firm only conducts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Insurance products are offered through Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC, Florida license L078655, and Sharice Rivers, Florida license P037744. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, and Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC are affiliated entities. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. The information presented is not an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy or sell any of the securities discussed. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Any legal or tax information provided in this podcast is general in nature. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Any client experience discussed on this show are unique to that client. Annuity and life insurance guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. If you withdraw money from or surrender your contract within a certain time after investing, the insurance company may assess a surrender charge. Withdrawals may be subject to tax penalties and income taxes. Persons selling annuities or other insurance products receive compensation for these transactions. These commissions are separate and distinct from fees charged for advisory services. Insurance products also contain additional fees and expenses. Social Security rules and regulations are subject to change at any time. Always consult with your local Social Security office before acting upon any information provided herein. References to specific investments should not be construed as being past specific recommendations. The returns for various indices discussed in this podcast do not represent the performance of the firm or any of its advisory clients. Returns do not reflect the impact that advisory fees will have on an investment. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All investment strategies have potential for profit or loss. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. Historical performance returns for investment indexes and or categories usually do not deduct transaction and or custodial charges or advisory fees, which would decrease historical performance results. There are no guarantees that a portfolio will match or outperform a specific benchmark. Investments in fixed income products are subject to liquidity risk, market risk, index rate risk, credit risk, inflation risk, purchasing power risk, and taxation risk. Because bond prices fluctuate continually, their yields change constantly.